Well, hello there everyone and welcome to the 7v7 EU versus NA show match. I'm being joined here by Germ. Nice to have you on the stream.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I think we both look at us. Both of us we're actually both looking really sharp and snazzy today. We've got a great match today as we see the top of NA take on the top of EU, Invil versus Burbology.
Indeed, and we are going to take a look at the lineup of the team representing EU. First, it is an all-Polish squad, led by Ketsai, then you have C3, Like, Sokar, Never, Hans Fury, and Rexa on Letter C being joined by Piotrix, the Princess.
Yes, and getting into Burbology's lineup from North America, you have the three cousins and brothers, October, November, and December. You got Vova, Muscles, OP Hacker Chase, Dark Ninja, and Kenway representing Brazil.
Alright, so both of those teams are gonna battle it out here. First, we're gonna have 3 rounds on the NA server, then 3 rounds on the EU server, then it's NA again, and for tiebreak, one team they decide on which server is being played on, and the other one picks the side of the map. Alright, Tundra being banned out by Invil. I know the NA players were a bit sad to see Tundra go, but then again, the EU players were a bit sad to see Mines go.
Yeah, and I told you before, I think the NA players are happy not to see Mines. Mines was not in the NA pool, but looking like first it's going to be good old Himmelsdorf, followed by Prokarovka.
Right, then
Ghost Town and Cliff.
Yep, and then we see a Ghost Town and a Cliff coming in. Moravanka being banned by Invil, and then we have Steps as the possible tiebreaker. And I want to just take a second to remind everyone quickly about the rules. For those of you not familiar with it, it's being played in the VOD7 format, which means 7v7, tier 10s only, no rewards, no EBRs, and it is attack defense, so basically a little bit like the old WGL.
Yeah, it's I like seeing the return of the attack defense. I like the 2-cap map mode. I think it brings out the best in some of these maps. We'll see Himmelsdorf in a second. And the no EBR rule of all the tech tree tanks, I think that's kind of led to some better gameplay. You don't have that tank that can kind of run away and bleed the clock at the end of the game. And as a result, you've seen a lot more unique strategies come out. We'll see here in a moment as I think we're getting ready for the first round.
Also, rounds are going to be 8 minutes each, and as we saw already, first map is going to be Himmelsdorf, probably one of the most, if not the iconic map for World of Tanks. I always love to return to the streets of it and have some good tank-on-tank action. Now, we see the casters' predictions. I went with a 5-1, you went with a 5-2, both for Invil. However, NA met RU in a show match recently, and I was surprised to learn from you that NA actually won there.
Yes, it was a Clan Wars format, so it was a bit bigger, but a lot of the same players are playing. You can see here as we see the tanks selected, Burbology opting for a 50B, double IS4, 1 IS7, an E3, a Super Conk, and a Mouse.
Alright, meanwhile, for Invil, we see double E100, IS4, S-Conk, 1 Batchat, and then the double E3. So, yeah, very, very heavy lineups here for both sides. I'm surprised to see no 113s or 5As or 277s being picked. That is normally a lot the case on Himmelsdorf. But yeah, we're about to see. Obviously, Burbology here starting on defense, Invil on the attack. And it looks to me like 1 IS4, 1 Mouse, and 1 E3 by Burbology are going to get sent towards Cap 2, and everyone else is going towards Cap 1.
Yeah, I'm seeing here, I'm just thinking about the tank comp. So the slight differences in the rule sets between EU and NA. Burbology was the champions. It was a 6-on-6 and a 2-of rule. That's the big differences in the overall format. But even with that, we're not seeing a uniform lineup. There isn't a 6 of one particular tank being brought in. Yeah, the double E3 going on hill. That is a very heavy lineup from Invil, and that's going to be Burbology is going to have to be able to deal with A-line pressure, and E3s at B0 are tough to deal
Indeed.
with.
Also to keep in mind, basically, since the hill is situated towards the eastern side and is the higher ground, you can sort of overlook the whole map. Then again, if you have snipers posted there, those tanks are going to be out of the fight if you pull off an engagement somewhere in the lower street. So you always have to keep that in mind. Obviously, not a lot of stuff happening right now. E3s, the E100s from Invil, they need some time to get into position, and it looks to me like the E3s are sort of going to set up at around B0. There is a little hull down with a cobble, and December in his mouse. He's probably not going to be happy to see two 750 alpha guns soon aiming at him.
Yeah, with the massive penetration to the 376, I believe, average APCR pen, and looks like they've moved the mouse over, and now that's cleared up the rest of the guns to cross, and there will be no punish on that B0 crossing.
No punish, and I believe Chase already took one shot of damage here. The backwards side scraping IS-4 in A6, that is nothing too unusual here. And yeah, just methodical angle clearing here from the Polish team of Invil at the moment. One shot of damage so far, and now the mouse, I believe, took some HE splash.
Did he actually? Oh yeah, he did. That's actually really interesting. The HE changes that came out a couple patches ago now. HE's become a lot weaker, but still it adds up if you're able to just get a little bit of damage here or there, and the mouse has a lot of HP, and you can see here. E100s, they're not sure about maybe that 8 line. They don't know if there are guns there. There are not actually guns from Verbology there. They haven't taken the rest of the map, but they still want to make sure they clear their angles to see like side scraping out in his IS-4.
Like here, obviously he's not going to find anything, but the good stuff for Verbology is they're already set up. Yes, they have the IS-7 in G2-3 in the hold down, where he's not going to be able to immediately join the fight. However, look at that D-line already. One S-Conk and one other tank are ready to brush down the D-line and then flank any people who would attempt capping here. Senti there in his E100, immediately taking a shot by Chase. I guess that was HE flying back once again.
Yeah, and Chase just took a little hit of damage there, a cheeky shot in the window. I think that just may have been the Kubla. I don't know if it was HE on him or not, but yeah, damage getting traded, and that bringing singular E3 from Verbology, him being at half health this early when he's one of the tanks that may have to get resets, may have to it's not good for that tank to be that low this early. December actually taking another hit too, I believe, from Senti.
Yeah, that was Senti, I guess, with a small gun on the E100, and you can see the E100s are being set up now in the CD78 area. I guess there is sort of supposed to be a sponge for a repush by Verbology to hit that first. Basically the meaty HP, and then the S-Conk and the IS-4 can DPM from behind. Now the S-Conk getting sent up here does find the 50B, and Vova immediately with a connection. Rexa unable to retaliate, and the 50B is now clipping out, however not connecting a lot of shots, it seems.
Yeah, he was able to get just the one in, which, he would have liked to get more, but hey, a little damage here, there. Free damage is free damage, but 4 minutes, a little bit under 4 minutes now on the clock, and cap has not begun, but you can see Muscles and Octo already starting to move up. Muscles getting shots into Rexar, gets it, and now Rexar has to back off. He took that shot of damage to take the hull down, and then he takes a shot of damage leaving the hull down. So not much happening there for Invil. They've got to kind of have another answer, and there's more punish coming in. I think that was Vova again onto Rexar.
Yeah, the Batchat now trying to flank here, but the IS-7 in the J line is going to be the one facing him, and now you can see Rexa, he's completely out in the open, now trying to reverse finally into a hold down. However, he does get ammo-racked and also the gun damaged in the process. So far, Verbology with a very, very strong showing here, now up 2000 HP, and Rexar in his Super Kong is left wondering where it all went wrong. Now Piotrix on the hill taking another shot for free, unable to retaliate.
Yeah, Invil's getting bunched up here. They're trying to get ready to... They know that they've been getting that Verbology's been getting the better of them. They need to make a play now, and it looks like the E100 IS-4 want to make a play for Muscles in this courtyard. Muscles gets another Incenti, and here they come around the corner, and the first shot goes in, and I think it got the loader or the ammo rack on Panzerfear. I didn't see the icon quickly enough. Muscles will tuck in, and they're just in a crossfire, and they're just going to have to back off. Invil, again, now down about 4,000 HP.
Yes, indeed. Panzerfury taking some very, very well-placed shots by Muscles through the house here, and now Sokar in his E3 has to back up. November, beautiful stuff in his IS-4. The Batchat, it needs to do it all for Invil. It needs to clear out the IS-7, but I don't think he has the clip potential to do it, and this IS-4 is just making work on those E3s. Ketsaik about to take another shot. There we go, down to 1,400 HP, and Invil, I don't think they have found the key to opening this lock.
I think you're right. Here comes Piotrix trying to come in and help out, but he's now arrived, and it's like, okay, I guess we go. Piotrix taking a shot of damage, the second one only hitting the track. Vova getting the next one in. Piotrix will go down here. Sokar's down on the other side, and 2 tanks down for Invil. This is all Verbology's game. Invil had a great start. They didn't take any punish, and they actually did punish on their crossings, where normally they would take damage crossing V0, but then their little after moves didn't amount to anything. The Super Conqueror and V-Line just kind of got clipped out, and they didn't have an answer, and down goes Like, and yeah, it's all over.
It is indeed all over. It's not only the HP, but also the guns ahead now for Burbology. Clean up time it is. November now finally leaving his backward side-scraping position, going on towards Rexa, putting in the first shot. Rexa now down to a one-shot. He's probably going to be able to do one more, as he isn't. Muscles with the backstep here, and now it is only double E100 and 1E3 on 5 HP, clinging on to dear life. But yeah, Burbology is defending. They have all the advantages they could ever want. Yeah, Senti with the last desperate shot here does get cleaned up, and after the first round, we find ourselves at a scoreline of 1-0 for the North Americans.
Yes, a bit of a surprise there. I think that I thought that Burbology were going to be on a little bit of the back foot when that E3 took that much damage, but the next step just wasn't there. And yeah, great. I mean, Burbology just seemed to say, okay, they stayed calm, they made their little moves around, and yeah, the Batchat wasn't able to do much. I don't know if it was a lineup issue or what, but Invil just not getting it going at the start.
Yeah, I guess we're going to take a quick look at the post-game stats soon to find out if it was penetration issues or whatnot. But yeah, let's sort by damage here. And for the team of Invil, you see the Batchat just with no impact at all. 2 shots out of which only 1 connected.
Yeah, and as we know, I mean, if a team has a Batchat, especially a solo Batchat that only gets 1 shot of damage out, chances are that's the team that did not actually win. Meanwhile, you can see Chase was the one taking a lot of damage, but he got out 2 kills still in his E3, and no one dying. A clean sheet from Burbology. That's really important and could set the tone. And, oh my god, muscles.
Absolute unit
4K
here, muscling
3
through.
kills. Yeah, I was talking to a few of the players before the match, and Muscle said he remembered playing, I think, some advances or something with you on his meme account on EU. He said to say hi.
All right, but there we have it, a clean 7-0. I don't think anyone would have expected that from either team here. But yeah, Himmelsdorf defense going the way of Burbology, and I think you might be right with setting the tone for the match. If you're going into a match probably as the favorites as Invil, and then you get clapped 7-0, what does that do to your mentality?
Yeah, especially on Himmelsdorf. I mean, yeah, 7-0. No one wants to be 7-0, no matter what. It doesn't feel good. It means things really did not go right. And if that's the first round of any tournament, you're thinking the most about that round, what strat you're gonna do, everything. And if it falls apart that poorly, it's a real problem.
I mean, going back to the lineup issue that you mentioned, I think Invil had sort of had a good take with the double E3, but then they ran into that IS4, which they probably expected in the position of the mouse, simply because normally you have the IS4 backwards side scraping there. It is, yeah, unclear to me. I guess Invil just mentally not ready for what Burp was throwing at them.
Yeah, maybe it's a difference in metas. Again, Burbology's playing a little bit out of position or out of practice in that they have not technically been playing this exact format in their season that they just completed over the last couple months. So they're doing slight tweaks with an extra gun that they may not be used to kind of where they're going to put it.
Indeed, and I see the players are about to get ready, so we are about 30 seconds to a minute away to hopping into the second match here. In between them, obviously, the sides are going to be switched. I can't remember whose pick Himmelsdorf was, actually. Was it Invil's or Burbology's?
It was Invil's pick.
All right, so down 1-0 even on your own map pick. That's gonna sting, I guess.
And most NA teams, I think, come from the perspective, I think that most teams do, where they say, we really don't want to be banning Himmelsdorf. Maybe we're not the best at it, but if you have to ban Himmelsdorf in a long list of maps, then chances are your team's not going very far. If you can't play Himmelsdorf really well, then you're probably not going to go very far in the competitive scene.
Indeed.
That's been my experience.
And Himmelsdorf being that map that normally you go to mentally reset, right? Probably all of those players, if you wake them up in the middle of the night at 4 AM or something, and you ask them to draw the minimap of Himmelsdorf, I guess like every single one of them would be able to do it. So that, yeah, quite an unexpected first round here.
waking up with cold sweats in the middle of the night. Yeah, I swear, I was in the D5 window. I was watching the 5-1. I have eyes. Don't worry, don't worry.
Yep. So yeah, okay. One of the players had timed out, but now we're ready to go. Map video rolling, and we are ready for round 2 in between EU and NA. NA leading here 1-0. And yeah, the question remains, is it going to be 2-0 on Inville's map pick for the North Americans, or are they able to put the equalizer on the board?
Yeah, we'll see here. Burbology trying to prove that maybe they shouldn't be kind of, you know, they should be taken more seriously maybe. That was just very clean by them. And you said beforehand that Inville tends to play aggressive, and I see the lineups here. Burbology, double IS4, 1 mouse, 1277, a CS, and double VZ.
And for Inville, we do have quintuple 113, 1 Super Conk, and once again, Piotrix in the bat chat. Now, very, very interesting to see the double VZ that recently added Czech heavy tank. Obviously, very, very capable when it comes out to dishing a large amount of damage. However, then you're reloading for about 20 seconds. And yeah, here we go. You see Burbology setting up. They're doing a split, it seems. Muscles in the CS directly getting sent towards the hill together with the double VZ, and the mouse double IS4 and 277 towards the lower side. Now, mouse to lower side is always very interesting because it can also suggest that basically you're trying to do a cap shield, although in 7v7 sacrificing a whole tank is very, very costly.
Yeah, I would go as far as to say cap shield's unlikely. They have historically, they've used things like the mouse to more anchor a position in a kind of like, if you're going to maybe, if they end up going north and they decide to flex out, they have to deal with the mouse, but it has the problem of it can be out of the fight. And that 5-1-13 lineup and the first shot going out, a sneaky one on the 113 as he gets into the G3 cubby. 5-1-13 just screams, oh god, we need to make sure we stay clumped. We cannot get too isolated. We need to stay together. And these double VZs you mentioned, it seems like one of the big weaknesses they have is dealing with super heavies, but no super heavies from Inville this time.
Yes, also very, very interesting tactical quirk here from Inville. They sent the Batchat to D5 initially, and that is basically what you want to do if you want to confirm that no one is immediately rushing 1-2 line. So the 113s, they know that there is no one in K line, like in the K1 to 4 positions. They know the mouse is the first enemy that they're going to meet already. The mouse taking some damage here, and now the VZs get spotted.
And they're
here.
Initiating a push.
Ooh, the VZs get spotted here for the side of Burbology, and this in turn means that Inville is going to push the 8 line and retreat with the 113, but it's all down to timing. Are the red tanks going to be there in support early enough or not? Yeah, you see OP Hacker already there in his VZ, firing his first shot, like getting caught on the crosshair, taking huge chunks of damage, down to 800 HP already. Also ammo rack, only one more shot needed, and I guess November should be the one to pick him up. And now the other two 113s also hard pressed.
And both of those IS4s are probably going to ignore the bat chat and just go straight for these 113s. October is on reload. OP is on reload. You pointed that out before. And now Senti taking a bunch of damage. Amarak damage. He's down to 800 HP. He's down to 300. He's a one-shot, and they will be able to get him. They need to try to block Sokar from getting out too quickly, but they may not be able to stop him. And now the rest of the 113s come in Dark Ninjas trying to play keep away from... I do not know how to pronounce that in Polish.
That is Ketsai.
Ketsa! But Rexar coming to help his battle buddy there. It's Dark Ninja will likely go down. You should get one more, but Muscles shows up.
Yeah, Muscles coming in with a vengeance here, immediately putting one shot into Rexar. The 277 does get picked up, so nice communication here by Inville, but the fact remains, Burbology is up 3k HP right now. Crazy stuff here. Now Muscles getting caught in the open here, sort of in a crossfire, but finally the tanks from the North Americans coming in to save the day. Piotrix now from the side here in the Batchat, immediately taking one shot, I guess, by the VZ, clipping out on October, the IS4 in November, trying to shield him, not successful, so Piotrix able to pick up the kill, but does take huge amounts of punishments for it.
Yeah, they just have to consolidate, and right now they wanted to get Piotrix, but they won't. They just need to focus down that 113, make sure that it dies, keeps Panzer Fury there. The mouse, December alone, and Chase can deal with this, no problem. Then the Batchat at 500 HP, what can he do? The 113 goes down, and this is going to be a very quick 2-0 in favor of Burbology. And Inville, you pointed out that 5-line eyes. You were absolutely right with the Batchat, and then it just seemed like they got caught flat-footed because the mouse initiated the push, the VZs came off the hill together, and they dumpstered it, and the 113s, that 1-113 at H2 was just deer in headlights, just caught in the middle of the open. He was with his teammates. He needed to keep running, but even so, kind of getting out. If you're running 5-1-13s a bat chat, you don't want to be outflexed by a team with a mouse in IS4s.
Yeah, indeed. And the problem there was, I think Invil baited themselves, I guess, since they had the B5 Batchat, they knew that no one had crossed over, so they were probably guessing that it was a 2-cap hit by the squad of Burbology. But instead, Burbology immediately turning around decisively, and then the 113s are just not able to run away fast enough from the VZs anymore. And the mouse sort of also served as a bait, because they were continuously sort of chipping away at the HP, and they were like, yeah, we're trading well here, and getting comfortable, and all of a sudden, oh no, we need to get out. And then it was all too late, but at least not a 7-0 here.
That is correct, and looking at the post-game stats, and this time Piotrix doing top damage in his batch, and it just wasn't enough. 3,500 though in his batch, had a complete reversal from the last round. OP Hacker getting out 4K, Muscles getting out almost 4K. And those IS4s, this is something we saw throughout the entire season on North America. At the beginning of the season, they weren't favored as much. But with the new field mods, with the extra HP, and especially on maps like Himmelsdorf, and in small tank formats, the IS4s just act as a multiplier with so much HP, and they're still able to sort of keep up. As you could see there, the 113s weren't fast enough to actually get away once they got cornered, and there's just so much HP to chew through on an IS4, and they can still give you the cheeky side angling bounce on the spaced armor on its side.
Yeah, also since the fairly recent buff of the IS4, it's not really... You can't reliably pen it anymore through the front. You cannot overmatch the plate on top of the turret. And also, what needs to be mentioned is that the IS4, it also had a DPM buff, I think. It sacrificed some gun handling for it. But yeah, in the end, the IS4 at the moment in a great spot. And you don't really need the gun handling when you're on Himmelsdorf. You're going to fight point blank anyway.
I have a love-hate relationship with the IS4 in that it's mostly hate. In my history, I had a terrible experience years ago where I stopped playing it in pubs when I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, but I still had to play it in Gold League format for many years. And yeah, the buffs that it got looked small. It was to, you know, it's the IS4 E100 buff patch. It seems small on paper, but in this small tanks format, I just think it's really, really underestimated by a lot of teams still. That it reminded me of when they buffed the IS7's HP many years ago. When you bring 3-4 of these tanks to a brawl, they just kind of they become very difficult to focus down and delete, and they just last so long. And yeah, Purbo 2-0. Neither of us saw this, and I don't think Burbology feels like Himmelsdorf is their strongest map.
No, Invil picked it, and now they're down to 0. I wonder. Sometimes I have the brain of a goldfish, and I keep forgetting what maps were picked. What did Burbology actually pick? I guess
Burbology picked Prokarovka will be next, and I do think that they like Proc quite a bit. Ghost Town is more of a question mark. Ghost Town was not played a lot in North America last season. Just a lot of teams kind of, with the way picks and bans worked, a lot of teams just kind of went, if we don't ban it, they'll ban it, and so didn't see it a whole bunch. And then it looks like, yeah, Invil's picked Cliff after that. So yeah, Proc will be interesting because I know that EU tends to play Proc very aggressively.
Indeed. Invil, especially in 15v15, you will see Invil taking like 8 or 9 907s and immediately bringing it towards the enemy. But that aggression, as we just saw, not really working out for Invil in Game 2 either. Yes, they did take 1-2 line immediately, but the problem then was after the repush, they had just too many tanks out of the game, out of the fight, and yeah, Burbology was just able to snowball it down. They did so effectively. Good stuff overall.
Yeah, fantastic 2 games because they played out kind of like, first one was so slow, methodical, big beefy boys, right? And then the second one was cat and mouse, but the cat caught the mouse in the second one. It was just a case of just overextension, just pouncing on it. Proc though, yeah, it's going to be fast. Oh, we've got the map picks up again so that you guys at home can see. You can see there Himmelsdorf was picked by Invil, and then we will be going to Proc after that. And look at, and I still have to say, I said this before, look at that little teddy bear in his little outfit.
What's the story behind the Burbology name, by the way?
I actually don't remember what the story is. I think it's just they like the bears. And I think that it also, well, in the poll that I conducted with myself, I voted it the best team logo of the season.
So for Invil, I
just
know
gotta salute
their basically their name is derived from Invincible, but clearly that is not the case here. Not staying true to their name.
Yeah, Burbology were a team throughout this last season. They were consistently at the top, but then came the finals. They weren't the favorite going into it, but they just kind of had consistency issues throughout the season. But when it came to, say, the playoffs and especially the final day, they played absolutely out of their mind, and they played the best they had all season. And they got a clean sweep, a shutout in the finals. So if they do repeat that today, which it looks like they could possibly do with just in terms of the level they play, not necessarily a shutout.
I mean, my prediction is basically out of the window already, because I said Burbology would take one round. Well, yours is still on the table. But yeah, here we see Invil coming in on Prokarovka with double IS-7, triple S-Conk, 1 CS and 1 STRV.
Yeah, and we've got double IS-7, 1 Super Conk, 1 VZ, 2 CS, and 1 T100 from Burbology. So the light tank getting brought, we've seen it brought some in the 6-on-6 this season, and I think with the 7-on-7 you have more leeway to bring a light tank, but you do have that problem where push come to shove, if it turns into a brawl, right? You know, you kind of, I mean, you have a gun, but it's not the highest, the most impactful gun.
Right, now 710 HP on Octobear. I wasn't sure if I saw a... yeah, he does have a hardening on his tank.
My god, he's almost a batch.
Yeah, that is crazy high HP, but he is, however, the first tank to get spotted here and does not spot anyone in return, so good stuff here by Like in his CS. Yeah, he sees the T100 returning immediately. The STRV in B6 did a shot of damage, I guess, and now it's down to blight shooting from Invil. I guess they sort of understand that the T100 was supposed to clear the way, but they're not retaliating by pushing 1-2 line yet.
And you mentioned the HP. Just look at that. He's now a mana core. He's at 1400.
Yes.
Or is it the whatchamacallit, the other one? The 13105. But anyway, we've got IS-7s coming off the hill here in a moment. That Sturv is in prime position at B6 to get some punish if they get spotted coming down, which they shouldn't get spotted because the CS is just a little delayed getting to the island.
Yeah, there is no one spotting for the STRB, and thus the DPM on it is rendered useless. Finally, the IS-7s get spotted, but now they're sort of in the water, down in the safe positions. And yeah, Burbology taking a lot of real estate here, and they do it for free.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that they were just a little half a step ahead of Invil's rotation. They're just I wouldn't say out-rotating because they decided they were going to this side originally, but maybe because Like spotted that T100, it was just a little delayed, but they don't know that Like is there. But if they should spot him soon in December, should be able to push him out in a moment. But November and Octo are a little behind to be able to come and help.
Yeah, the thing is the SRV is supposed to give crossfire now, but that one needs to be very careful not to get double-tracked. December now taking some damage from the crossfire here, but Octobear, I think he's trying to retaliate onto the STRV. December now down to 1200 already. November taking 2 shots as well, but that CS down to 765. It doesn't have like complete sustain. He cannot completely survive there. A lot of damage being applied to Burbology though. Not sure who's even shooting there. Finally, the CS goes down though.
Yeah, a lot of damage. I think Burbology took a little bit more damage there than they probably should have if they played that a little bit smarter. But they kept all of their guns alive. And that is important when you start getting into these rail fights where you have to deal with turret breaks. And now December is there, November's there, and Octo is able to back off. He can even potentially put cap pressure on. OP Hacker is the position that's been kind of troubling me a bit because he's in a super conk and he's really, really far out of the fight.
The thing, though, now for Invil is that the cap pressure is on, and their Burbology is not really sacrificing a lot of firepower to do it. It's only the T100, and the problem with the Super Kongs is you need to peek through those rails, maybe even over peek, and for every bit of reset that you do, you're going to pay heavily. Some damage being traded onto Vova now in his VZ, who does drop a little in HP. But yeah, at one point or another, Invil will have to make a decisive moves, and Muscles in his CS up there, he's going to be able to snipe his heart out.
I love too how the second I mentioned the southern position with the Super Conqueror, it's like Vova listened to me and he started moving up. But December taking that shot of damage there, really nice shot. I think that was Panzerfear that snuck that under the rails. Him going down to one shot is troubling because he needs to keep that gun alive for the push, be an extra gun that they have to focus down. And now looks like November is also getting taken a little damage from Ketset, as I pronounce it correctly, hopefully.
Ketsai. There's like an I at the
Ketsai.
end. But yeah, Cap is down to 55 second now. Invil pulling all of their tanks towards the ridge. Even the STRV leaving the 1-2 line being in E3. And I think Invil, they finally understand that 1-2 line is empty. So they're sending the I7 to F4 to, I guess, give cross shots. I don't think he has the CS on the hill in render distance. But yeah, 37's on the clock. And Invil... they are not even ahead in HP anymore, and they will bleed so heavily for overpeaking and resetting Octobear. And first of all, they even have to spot him. Finally, I think they're getting ready to do the overpush. Yeah, here it comes.
They better do it soon.
Ketsai, you're taking a lot of damage, and you're not even seeing the T100 for it. 14 seconds here. Invil, they have no clue where Octobear is. They need to emergency
reset. They don't
reset.
have anyone in the middle on the D-line to spot him and over the rails, and Nocto's doing a good job, Cheeky, keeping the tree line away. There's 3 seconds remaining on the cap, and Rexar's just gonna have to fight. He fires blind, he misses, he shoots dirt, and they're gonna cap out.
Yes, 1 tank in the cap, just enough here for Burbology. Invil with no answer whatsoever to that simple cap strategy. My goodness, Invil is getting rolled.
I had my hands up for the last like 6 seconds. I realized until I saw my camera. I was like, you capped out. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, cap or lose here was the plan, and it worked out beautifully. 3-0 for Burbology. I don't think anyone except maybe the Burbology players saw that coming.
I think it was just one of those situations where you go, hey, we do this to force the reaction, right? But they don't expect to cap out. They're ready to punish. But then, yeah, Invil just not coming up with the right answer. They didn't have a tank in a position to spot the T100 close enough. And they all just kind of were sitting there floundering. They looked very confused. I'm unsure, but credit to Burbology. Muscle's doing 2200 November 2K. Dark Ninja. Look at that spread. The top 4, like all around 2000 damage.
Yes, so beautiful stuff here, and you can see for the side of Invil, they just weren't able to get their tanks into the fight, really. That STRV that was supposed to do the crossfire, I guess it did the 4 shots immediately when the CS got rushed, but after that, your STRV was sort of useless, so basically that's not only the CS gone, it's also the STRV gone, and yeah, Invil just with no reactions, really. They saw basically the side of the rails getting taken, ripped from them, and then they didn't really do anything to react what was happening, and Burbology, yeah, just coming in strong here.
Yeah, and taking these first 3 games as a whole, really, having watched Burbo play a bunch, there's nothing crazy going on from a viewer's perspective. There's not some crazy, wacky new strategy. Oh my god, who's ever sent tanks over the hill on proc, or who's ever, you know, they're doing very normal-ish strategies with little twists here and there, and they're just playing their game. And it seems like if they're just playing their game, they're coming out ahead, because Invil are getting caught kind of flat. They've been out-rotated now 2 games in a row pretty hard and heavily. And just, look, that cap was going for 2 minutes. They were trying to bleed the clock, but they didn't have an answer for it at the end.
Yes.
That's a big oversight.
Yes, indeed. Also worth mentioning is now that this was game number 3 in this best of 9, so first to 5. And after 3 games, there is a server switch. So the 3 games we saw up until now were being played on NA. Now we're heading over to EU. Obviously, that's going to take a bit more time than usual in between the games, simply because the players need to relog and start their games once more. But yeah, I believe we have some replays for the meantime. We will bring them up on stream as soon as we're ready. And then, yeah, we can analyze where it all went right for Burbology.
Yes, indeed. Maybe figure out what I don't know if our Invil a team that tend to go on tilt or something, because it feels like it was almost an oversight. They didn't have someone in a position to spot the cap there. And I'm unsure. They're a pretty experienced team, aren't they?
They are extremely experienced, and normally they are a team that, I mean, not only in 7v7 but also in 15v15, Invil sometimes has a history of having very, very tilting defeats. but during those defeats, they never really go on tilt, if you know what I mean. It's only after that you
Oh, I
realize
see.
how heartbreaking it must have been.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. Yeah, this is the position on that Himmelsdorf. Rexar took a shot of damage from Vova. You were even pointing out at the time, you're like, Vova wasn't able to get another one in, and he would have liked to. Now the shot comes from Muscles in the courtyard, so Rexar has to back off. What are the rest of Inville's tanks doing right now? Panzer Fury flexes back north. They don't seem to have... So the next play, this is like step 4, was move Rexar up. Rexar takes damage and Rexar backs off, taking more damage as he backs off, and now nothing else has happened, and they just simply took 2,000 damage for free. Here, Like was with Sokar and Senti, and then just went back there, like a missed call or a missed flex on his part, and just dies for free. They were all going to die anyway, but the longer they survive, the longer they give their teammates time to get there to help. But really well done by Burbology. They were able to isolate, they were able to focus fire, no one was able to share HP. And just really well done.
Yeah, and you can see here, also well played by Dark Ninja. It just took so long for Invil to take him out, and meanwhile they were getting decimated in the 1-2 line. Now this, yeah, those are just the last seconds here, and I think Invil didn't expect that they wouldn't be able to spot the T100. And Ketsai, you can even see him hesitating here. He should have just pressed W to sacrifice his life to get past the line of bushes. But instead, he sort of hesitates, he stops once, and I think that also was what made it that Invil couldn't reset anymore, and Burbology was able to take the 3-0.
Yeah, it's that D5 position on the rails. Just a tank needs to be there while you're doing it, and maybe because they lost the CS, they didn't have the extra gun, but they had guns kind of not doing anything that could have easily done it. They just needed someone there to be close enough to either proxy or to give the extra line of eyes under the rails, so that because the tanks in the far south, there's so many trees and so many bushes for a T100 to be able to spot. They just needed someone close. If they had that, they could at least identify where the T100 was as it was moving around, but they didn't. And Burbo capitalized, and they got it basically just kind of gifted a win. But they were up at that point, but they still they didn't have to work as hard for it as I think they probably thought they were going to need to.
Indeed. And also what's worthy to mention is, I think in 7v7 attack defense, Prokarovka is sort of defense side. Like Himmelsdorf is, I would say, a 50-50 in whatever mode you play. Prokarovka is considered to be a defense-sided map. And so now if we continue like this would mean Burbology now starting on the stronger side here. They would be, if they win this on 4-0, they would be on match point here immediately. That is crazy to think about.
We saw some crazy things on NA statistics near the end of the season. Granted, it was 6-on-6 and slightly different, but everyone agrees, and myself too, it was like, okay, if it's a tiebreaker and it's proc, do you pick attack or do you pick defense? I was like, I pick defense. But the statistics kept showing on proc as the season kept going further and further. Attack became more and more and more favored just because they could kind of dictate where the fight was. It could also have something to do with maybe the way the tank picking selection was done and some of the other rules, but attack just ended up winning more and more. So Burbo are probably happy to win the defense, but we'll see here. I still personally, no matter what the statistics say, I feel safer on proc defense than I do on attack. I don't know about you.
You never have to drive in sort of this dark void of unspotted enemy tanks where you're not sure that you get spotted, and the next second you take like 10 shots from 13 different directions. It's yeah, I too prefer defense here. But yeah, if the stats say something different, that is
stats are liars sometimes. There's nothing warm and fuzzy about feeling like a blind 2-line push or going over the hill when you have to. I feel much safer on defense. But yeah, I think we probably are getting ready here very soon. I think they should be just about good to go. And yeah,
I believe all
maybe the
players have
ping was an
joined,
issue.
and as soon as the team captains go ready, we basically have the 30-second countdown that should lead us into game number 4, which could be yeah, the match point for Burbology, as I mentioned, or also Invil could finally put one on the board. We'll see what happens there. I am increasingly intrigued as to the forthcoming of this match here, I have to say.
Yeah, we've seen sometimes, like, maybe it's just, you know, whatever, but, you know, these were 3 games on NA. Maybe Burbology had the ping advantage. Maybe they, you know, maybe that's playing a role. Maybe someone's getting tilted because they're lagging a little bit on Invil. And yeah, here we go into the pregame. So we get in 3-0 in favor of Herbology.
I mean, talking about
Can
the
they
ping, I
close it
was
out?
during the rehearsals for this stream, I was playing a bit myself on NA, and to be honest, it's very, very playable. Ping was like 120, and as long as it's stable and you don't really drop any packages, it should not really make a difference, especially considering that Herbology, they have one player playing from Brazil, so basically he should have the same ping as I coming from Europe.
Yeah, and he, I believe, is coincidentally not playing at the moment just because of that. And yeah, I did during my Gold League experience a lot of scrims on EU servers and even Asian servers. Asian servers were a little bit more laggy, but the EU server was okay. It's mostly for the NA players that are on, say, the West Coast. They will have a little bit more difficulty with their ping. But Herbology bringing triple IS7, double VZ, and double CS to their proc attack.
And I believe Herbology is defending, so inbuilt to their attack, bringing triple IS7, double SCONK, and double CS. So basically we're switching out continuous DPM for clip power.
Yes, and apologies, yes, they are on defense. They just capped out on their attack. My mistake. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they play their defense here, because their defense on Himmelsdorf was not static, but it was a normal defense. It wasn't a proactive defense like Invil ran. And Proc is a difficult map to run a proactive defense, let's be real, because you can end up, if you decide to push the 2-line or do some of these types of things, you could just end up pushing into nothing. And Muscle's going very aggressive here with the CS scout run going all the way into the bolt. And taking a shot of damage for his trouble.
Yeah, Muscle's immediately taking damage. However, take a look at the minimap. Both teams here at the moment bringing sort of all heavy tanks to the middle, and the CSs on the flanks here. They are going to have good shots. However, one IS-7 through the one line. That's going to be interesting. What happens? Sokar immediately taking an Amarek, repairing. Also, Piotrix losing his driver. Damage is flying back and forth. Invil so far up 1k. However, I think Herbology, they have the better crossfire with December in the IS-7 here. He's going to be hull down and able to attack all of the Invil tanks in the side.
Yeah, and he's going to try to push out Like as well, possibly, trying to push him down a little bit, and Herbology taking the worst of the damage, down about 3,000 HP in total, and the damage is split a lot on Invil as they start to pounce. Rest of Herbology going towards that 6-line, trying to deal with these super conkers are farming really hard. There's just a lot of bleed. Herbology's going to maybe lose steam here. They may be heading to a loss with Muscles also going down.
Chase here in his IS-7 needs to be careful. Ketsai coming in from the side here with the CS onto the heavy tanks. Chase down to a one-shot now. Rexa coming in with the Super Conk and with the Vengeance. They want to put in the first win for their team here, but they're going to be hard-pressed to do so. Herbology, although trailing 2k HP, still on the defense, and the IS-7, it should win the duel against Like if... Oh, that is... rather unfortunate. He does get set on fire, so I guess the CS is going to have a good time here now.
Yes, he will. He definitely has this, and yeah, it'll be... Even if he was able to win that, I just don't think that Herbology had guns left alive. Just those initial trades went in Invil's favor. It's still HP somewhat close, but it's mostly all the HP is on that I7 alone right now. There's November, but... yeah, not able to get a pick with their initial aggression Herbology and taking a lot of damage, and yeah, Invil won the brawl.
Invil won the brawl.
Well done by them.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was maybe down to this one IS-7 by Herbology that was on the one line that kept pushing out. Yes, it did get the crossfire, but this in turn means they had one less tank with a very, very sturdy turret in the middle. And I also think if you don't immediately overpush with the VZs, then the Super Conks will win in the long run, and also the CS in the F9 position there for Invil. I guess he was able to have continuous and good shots. So Invil, at least they're not gonna go out without taking one round.
Yes, and I think you hit the nail on the head with the Super Conks. The hesitation to push over from Herbology just gave those Super Conquerors time to get there, because it takes a while for those Super Conquerors to cross the rail and get up the 7-line. But by the time they're there, if you're not already making your move and picking tanks, it's kind of over, because that DPM is just no joke. They were able to put out so much punish.
All right, and here we head over to the battle results. We can see one of the CS's, Muscles, not really having an impact, and also the IS-7s, yeah, they all did like 2k each. So they were able to sustain a lot. It comes in here. The VZs, both of them actually able to reload 2 further clips after the initial one. Good stuff here. And October coming in with good performance. 17, 11, 10. That no slouch. I get some blind shots and yeah, good shooting. And from the side of Invil, one of the Super Kongs actually dropping immediately.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened. He was the one to go down, but Rexar getting out 4K and 2 kills. I mean, you saw that Burbology had to kind of relocate, and they didn't push over the middle. They went to go deal with those Super Conkers, and they were able to deal with one, but not the other. And it was too much punish going out during that whole time. And they got out some decent damage, but it wasn't focused enough. They got a shot here on an IS-7, a shot there, but they weren't able to isolate anything and remove any guns.
Yeah. I'm still trying to think what I would have done on basically Burbology's side to improve on this, because if you see the double Super Kong, do you really commit middle with 2 VZs?
I see what you're saying. You're maybe bringing a knife to a gunfight. No, if you're not bringing Super Kongs of your own to deal with it, it's tricky. It's difficult. You've got just a lot lower DPM overall, and yeah, those i7s were sturdy enough to just withstand it, and they got some good initial damage, just not good enough.
Also, talking about the Super Kongs once again, you can pen the gunmantlet with APCR, it's possible, but both the IS-7 and the VZ, so all tanks in the middle from Burbology, they have rather low APCR pen, so not really that great for penning Super Kong gunmantlets, and yeah, the Super Kongs with their accurate gun are just able to farm away at the cupolas. They are small, but they are hittable, and the players that we are seeing here on both teams are at a level where a VZ cupola does become a very hittable target, I would say.
Yeah, when I'm aiming at, say, if I'm using an IS-7 and I'm aiming for that weak spot next to the gun itself, but between the mantlet, like on the sides of either side of the gun, I'm saying give me a few minutes to see if I can land in a perfect hold down, land a perfect shot on the Super Kong. But if it's land these next 2 shots on him from 200 meters, I'm like, okay, please just hit right in the middle. But yeah, it's not likely to happen.
I mean, in World of Tanks, RNGesus giveth and RNGesus also more often than not taketh. So yeah, I guess you're able to pen, but it is very, very unlikely. And yeah, overall, I think they should have gone with a more defensive approach, because they saw that Invil didn't have the spotting advantage. They had the same 2 CSs. They could have just let the enemy come to them, and then as soon as you do that, the VZs become incredibly powerful, because they can sit in hold down, dump their 1000 HP magazine into the enemy, then go back, reload, rinse, repeat. I think that was a bit overconfident here.
Yeah, it could have been like a victim of, when you're up 3-0, you just kind of feel a little bit more ballsy, more aggressive. You feel like you can just kind of take them on, and Invil, to their credit, they didn't fold. They didn't buckle. They stayed with, let's just aim our shots, play it out, and they did well. And I mean, the HP was somewhat close for a little while, but it was always in Invil's favor for sure.
I mean, that is something that Invil is actually known for doing quite well, is that they keep their 1 and 2 shots always in the game. During the last clan showdown, which was a 15v15, they had a lot of rounds which looked close, but in the end it was a scoreline of like 15-5, but with only like 2 or 3 KHP remaining amongst like 10 remaining players. So they are very, very good when it comes to that stuff. But I think that doesn't matter if it happens like we saw in the first 3 rounds, that Invil just get out-rotated and surprised completely, then keeping your one-shots alive is not an option, because you get steamrolled, and then yeah, there is no one left to shield you.
Yeah, that's exactly the case, and we'll just have to see. I mean, Proc is not an easy map to keep your one-shots alive either, and they were pretty split, but yeah, I'm just curious to see what happens on the next map. The next map, I believe, is Ghost Town. Is it not? It is. So we will be seeing Ghost Town here in just a moment. Again, the meta didn't develop super well on NA because it wasn't played a whole bunch. It was played some, but I feel like I still haven't seen everything that is possible on the map. And I don't know how fast or so. Like, we saw teams typically trying to make sure they controlled the outside, or at least stop the enemy from controlling the outside.
So,
but
I can give you my insight on how the meta on EU developed. It was mostly like Super Kongs. Then someone came up with the ingenious idea of taking E100s with small guns and just rushing the Super Kongs. And then suddenly 50Bs started getting added again into the maps. Then some push strats with 277s directly into the cap emerged. So it was a wild ride here on EU in 7v7. Yeah, we're gonna have to see what the setups are going to be like for both teams. I believe we're about ready to show them, and then we can deduct what's gonna happen for either team here.
Yeah, a bit of rock, paper, scissors here. Burbology going for a 1 CS, 1 Batchat, double VZ, 1 Mouse, 1 IS7, 1 IS4, kind of like a one of each type strat, except for the double VZ.
And Invil with 150, 1 E100, quadruple S-Conk and 1 CS. And Germ, I have to say, I never like seeing only 150B, because 2 of them, yes, they can one-clip a tank. One of them, well, it does 1600 damage, and then the enemy tank's like, yeah, and now what? Come at me, bro.
Yeah, he's going to have to be playing with someone or something like that. He's going to have to be playing off of the CS or one of the Super Conquerors to make it where he can make something kind of able to die with 2 shots from someone
Interesting
else.
stuff here immediately by Burbology, boosting the IS-7 with the CS, so the IS-7 is going to be in that K-line very, very quickly, probably unexpectedly quick for the side of Invil. Invil now sending double Super Conk here towards the cap number 2. Then you have Piotrix in the 50B, just waiting for some people, because it was very common on EU for attacking teams to directly drive into cap 2. We see none of that happening here so far. Pretty passive approach so far by the attackers.
Yeah, Burbology's going to have to control the outside. They're facing off against a slew of Super Conquerors and an E100, and they do not have the staying power or the DPM to deal with that. Pushing into those Super Conquerors can be just straight up death. They have to be able to take the outside, but Invil have actually opted to keep a Super Conqueror on the outside, and that's going to be difficult to isolate and pick efficiently for Burbology, because even if they're able to push, say, the IS-7 and CS on it, I mean, Super Conqueror's going to dish out so much damage, plus he's going to have a lot of supporting fire from his other Super Conqueror teammates.
And Chase already taking a shot of damage by the Super Conk. You can even see the Bond Turbo, so they really wanted to get that IS-7 there fast, and they did. But now it's not really getting a lot done here. Muscles in the CS also trying to spot through the bushes, trying to find something. But even if they spot the Super Conqueror in G1, there's nothing really going to happen, because it's just going to reverse a few meters, and then it's going to be not only hold down, but completely gone, unshootable. And I think Burbology, they didn't expect what Invil is doing, and now are trying to figure something out.
Yeah, this is not going to be easy for them, because if they cannot pick Sokar, then they have to find something else that they can pick, and that means if they're going to brawl in the middle, they have to somehow make 2 VZs, IS4, Mouse, and then if an IS-7 or a CS decides to come in, they have to manage to pick the Super Conquerors, and they're set up in perfect crossfires right now. And they're going to have to not only pick something, but then not die during the reload of the VZs, because those Super Conquerors are just going to be rattling shot after shot, and the E100 as well. And it could be really death. I like Invil's lineup a lot more than Burbology's in this particular round.
Yeah, I mean, the S-Conk...
Super Conquerors, just when you're in doubt, is so strong.
Yeah, the thing is, the S-Conks, they don't need to attack, right? So they can just sit hold down and basically chill and see what Burbology is doing. The only tank that could really counter the Super Conks is probably the IS-4 that can penetrate either the cupola or a side scrape. Now December also taking a shot here in his mouse, trying to retaliate, does hit the ground, so that one's dead, but it's not going to help them. And now Invil, I guess they're just confident with what's happening. It's like, yeah, we're sitting here, the enemy is taking a few shots for taking a few positions, so we are completely fine. And also, this sort of, I would say, square of control that Invil has built with the Super Conk in the bottom left and all the people in the middle and the CS at the top, I don't really see where they could attack without taking a whole lot of damage.
Yeah, and if they do attack down that road, down that ramp, Panzer Fury is going to back off, depending which direction the push ends up continuing. If it goes more to the west or if it goes more north, they're just going to keep backing off. The 50B is actually in the center, and he's just going to look to get his clip out and then run away. And then you're going to have the Super Conqueror in the far north come in, Rexar. It's going to be really difficult. Chase taking a bunch of damage and tracked going towards the cap, and he's probably just going to die here in a moment, and this is really bad for Burbology.
Oh, Chase, yeah, he got double tracked. That was actually very, very well played by Senti in the E100. He did not go for the damage on the first shot. He went for the track, and then Rexar coming in with the double track. Also, important thing to note, the IS-7, it died before even reaching the cap, so its death basically achieved nothing except that Piotrix is now slightly lower in HP, but that is not a price you want to pay to get 2 shots into a 50.
That is a
certainly.
good trade for Piotrix. Take that trade any day. And now, yeah, this you can see there's 2k HP difference, but Herbology really now the whole idea of if they have to push and do something, even with the i7, it was going to be difficult, really difficult, and now it's pretty much done. I mean, I would be pleasantly surprised if they could pull out something. It's going to take a miracle because the math just isn't there.
Yeah, they rotated double VZ towards the north though. I guess they could strike from the side. Then again, you always have that CS in your side, like a sore thumb just continuously shooting away. He does have shots into most of the important streets here. We also see on the minimap at the moment, on the 9 line, the CS63 getting sent up to support the Batchat against the CS, so both of those should be able to overpower the medium tank. But in the meanwhile, I guess Invil could just counterattack the city. Now, one of the VZs also spotted, so that basically gives up the jig here for Bibology, I think. Also the Batchat getting spotted.
Yeah, and 2.5 minutes remaining. There is not much time left, and yeah, it's going to be 3-2 here in a moment. Dark Ninja's crossing, going towards the cap. He takes a random shot on the move, does not connect, but Rexar has taken a little bit of damage. I missed that. But yeah, now Dark Ninja hiding behind the houses. Here goes Muscles and Vova on up. They take 2 shots of damage into Vova, I believe. Oh no, it was Muscles. And the CS will simply drop off a little bit, play a little hold down cheeky, and yeah, the cap has started, but Super Conquerors are going to come in here in a moment and clean this all up.
Although, I have to say I like the idea. They're basically leaving the mouse behind to attract some attention. And now, if you take a look, the CS, like he's sort of cut off from providing resets, and now when the Super Conquerors are going to come in, not only are they going to eat the clips by the VZs, the IS-4 is also there to support, and the Batchat and the CS in A4, they could just turn around and shoot at the Super Conquerors. You can see here December in the mouse. It just takes so much time to get rid of all the HP on that thing, especially if December also angles. Finally, the resets seem to be coming in, and yeah.
Yeah, they pushed off. They did a triple cap to try to attract attention and try to see if they could catch someone out. It sort of worked a little bit, but I mean, it was a good attempt. I credit them for not just kind of throwing in the towel and saying go next. They went for something. They still tried to, it's a low chance, but you just roll the dice anyway. But Invil reacted appropriately and just wasn't enough for Burbo, and down goes Octo.
Yeah, and still alive is the mouse here, December, still 1500 HP. I mean, 55 seconds, Ketsaic just showing how to pen mouses, I guess. You can see him switching aim in between turret front and the side above the tracks where there's no spaced armor. And it's going to be Sokar to pick up kill number 7 for Invil in this game. And this means after 3 quick rounds in favor of the North Americans, the Europeans have bounced back. We are now 3-2 only in the lead for Bobology.
So everyone currently just winning their games on their server. So technically, if everything stays the same, then North America will win because they're going to lose this next round. But then they go back to North America for the next 3 rounds.
Here we go. In come the post-battle results. And yeah, Chase getting double-tracked out there in the open, not finding any impact whatsoever. I mean, yeah, it was just... I don't think it was the individual shooting here. It was just Invil with a defense to which Bobology had no answer. And yeah, the damage spread is just beautiful here for Invil.
Ghost Town is a very large map, and the second you add a 7th tank to this as opposed to a 6-on-6, the amount of extra oomph you can have in that center to just simply adjust anything, I just see it as... The Super Conquerors are so powerful, unless, like you said, and it makes sense, the meta switches where you start bringing 3, 4, E100s and just kind of, push through the Super Conquerors. But other than that, if they're not facing those super heavy type lineups, I don't want to face 4 Super Conquerors if I'm playing a Russian heavy or VZ or things like that.
I don't think anyone wants to face 4 Super Conquerors, no matter which tank you're in.
You can kill him, but it's like, hey, it went really well. I only took 1200 damage from him, but we picked him. great. Like that's the best case scenario. You got out 3 shots.
Yeah, also with the Super Conquerors, keep in mind they have this British HE, which basically means high pen, I believe 120 or 130 pen. That is enough for medium
Gosh,
sides.
yeah.
It is enough. Also for 50Bs, it's enough. And sometimes you will see those 550, even 600 damage hits coming in, and you wonder that, well, no gun has this alpha, where is it coming from? And it's just the Super Kongs playing to their advantages.
That was when I was playing and calling. You would hear when something like that happens, you would start hearing the slamming of the desk of your bat chat player on the other side of the map. Like, wait, what happened? He penned me with HE.
But it's not that
Everything's
improbable if you think
destroyed.
about it. Like,
it is not. He's like, oh, why did he have HE loaded? But now with the changes to the crew skills, it's much easier with intuition to simply switch ammo types on the fly without really giving up much. But back in the day, it was a little bit more cheeky, but it's still, yeah, it's something that a really good Super Conqueror player, and which we've got a lot of in this match today, they're going to do that. And if they see the correct lineups, if they see CSs, if they see Batches, C50Bs, they're going to load that HE, and they're going to get that little extra edge where they
I believe with intuition, it's like 1.5, 1.6 seconds to switch. So it's super quick. And then, yeah, you can just... I think the increase in damage is like 25%, so if you continuously do that, your DPM, that is already good in a Super Conqueror.
Insane.
just blows out. I think the Tortoise with HE is like one of the highest HE tanks, or DPM tanks in the game, and it has the same gun.
Should be. It should be. It's absolutely nuts. And Super Conqueror, through all of these years, it's really simple what it does, right? It is not the fastest tank. It's giant. It's got really squishy sides, except the heat shells can be troll on the British tracks, but it's hull down. Its gun handling is insane, and it's APCR and with high DPM. And it's one of those tanks that you can put it in a situation that it's not great at, as long as it doesn't have to just move across an open field. Even if it's the isolated tank that gets picked, it performs really, really well.
Yeah, it's just overall a great tank. I also love playing it because the gun, as you said, is just super reliable. Anyway, we are at 3-2 now. Invil looking to put the equalizer on the board. Babology, they want to get to their match point. It's going to be Babology defending on Ghost Town now. Do you think they have made up strats in advance, or do you think they're sort of adapting to the way Invil plays and vice versa?
So far, it looks like they're running tweaks on strats that they've run before, as far as I can tell. And some of it may be old meta stuff from the NA, because I'm seeing like things like that double VZ. It worked out really well in Himmelsdorf against the 113s. But I think they may have just seen with those Super Conquerors, maybe we should err on the side of Super Conquerors. I would be surprised if I don't see at least a few Super Conquerors on their defense, because it just seems so powerful and so difficult to deal with. But like you said, if EU's kind of seen, if they bring the kind of super heavy attack, that could be very powerful to stop Burbo. But first 3 games they won because they played their own game. And if they can win, they'll probably win by doing their own game. If they don't want to tweak things too much, because then they're just kind of going into open water.
I mean, yeah, on EU, the meta
plan.
carousel was spinning and spinning, and there was a point in time at which E100s were picked against Super Conquerors, and then suddenly E100s started appearing on the other side, but with the big gun, because they could actually reliably pen the E100 turret front. So
with the heat.
it's yeah, it's up for grabs what we're gonna see. Honestly, obviously we see the map video here, so we know the game is just about to start, and I cannot wait to see the lineups.
Yeah, this will be the last match on the server. It's 3-2 still in favor of Herbology, but Invil looking to tie it up if they can win this round. And looking at the tank lineups, Herbology bringing a singular 113, 160 TP, double IS-7, double VZ, and 1 CS.
And for the side of Invil, it's pretty easily summed up. Triple E100, triple S-Kong, and Piotrix once again in the bat chat. And I guess the 60 TP is sort of like the same thing as an E100, but you trade the, basically, the high pen heat or the APCR DPM for not getting penned into the turret front every shot.
Yeah, and they're going to have a hard time with this. They're going to have to really play the outsides and be super flexible, because Invil are very slow. They just have the singular bat chat. But they still have to be able to stop a 2-cap but they can't be too far forward. That 60 TP is going to a position that it normally plays for them at E5, but they have to really be careful of, don't let 100s, 3 Super Kongs kind of push into where that IS-7 is, where that 60 TP is, and die muscles going up here to an aggressive place in the south, right off the bat.
Also, Ketzai now,
Ooh,
moving over the open ground with his S-Kong. Or actually, no, he's in the ditch, so he's safe. I think Piotrek spotted the CS going there, so he knows what's up. Yeah, but in the end, Invil taking some positions in the city, completely disregarding the north. Then again, there's only one IS-7 by Babology up there in A4. And yeah, we're going to have to see what Invil comes up with now.
Those IS-7s, they as long as they're fast enough to disengage with Hoof, they're going to have a hard time dealing with the E100s, especially in an all-out brawl. They're going to be low DPM with not the penetration. And look at December's cheeky spot there as he lines up a potential
shot. He doesn't hit it, but however, Senti did take one shot. So yeah. Even though take a look at the HP right now, Invil, they started with like 2k more and they're still on that. That is...
Yeah, and they went for a slow... I mean, it's a slow lineup, but they went for a slow initial where it seems like they're just saying, we need to not get... They have enough weirdness and enough fast movers where they don't know... You know, those two IS-7s, two VCs could kind of go anywhere with the 113 and CS at the beginning. They could be all north, all south. Let's just make sure... kind of account for things before we put all of our movement in, because we don't want to lose to just a push where people are isolated and on their own.
Now, very interesting stuff here from not only Invil but Babology as well. They have an IS-7 in A4 and they have a 113 in K4. So that basically means north and south both are covered by a heavy tank. Obviously not the greatest for sniping on the IS-4 and the 113, so if a centralized engagement broke out, they wouldn't be the best support. However, all of the tanks by Babology in the middle, the 60 TP, the IS-7, the VZ, they look like they could immediately turn and run around. Ooh, Ketzai here, caught out in the open in his Super Conqueror. Is he? Chase and Muscles in the 113 and the CS respectively.
And he's retracked.
Yeah, that is not good stuff here from him.
They're going to eliminate him. That feels like a big mistake from Invil. I feel like they're playing against a lineup that's different than what is actually there. I feel like they're doing that predetermined thing. It's like, yeah, and then we'll send the Super Conquerors out. Why? Just get in the middle. We got 3 100s, 3 Super Conquerors. Like, well, just, go fight them.
Yeah, and the HP advantage now evaporated. 2k for Babology now. And we see Invil, they are sort of, grouping up in the northern part of the city for what I guess will be final push, but they need some good timings here to catch some people off guard.
The 113's immediately, the second that Super Conqueror died, that 113 is like, I'm getting north, I gotta get to my friends, because like if Invil's gonna win this, they have to push now and they have to catch us off guard. And so good reaction by Babology to make that fast move. And the other thing about that I-7 in the north, you're right, terrible sniper, everyone knows that. But one thing the I-7 does well, compared to a lot of other heavies, he can go downhill and get to that brawl really, really fast.
Alright, hold that thought though, as Invil, they have finally decided it's time to make a move here. The E100s, the march of the elephants of Senti and Rexa into the cap. Rexa taking some shots, but not really a lot of damage, I would say. Finally, the shots start hitting down to a 470. He goes 18 HP. He's gonna make it in the corner, but at a horrible cost. Sokka now shooting into the sides of Chase and Dark Ninja. But look at those E100s. They are just encircled by all of the tanks from Babology. Senti now down to 1700. Not sure what Chase is doing there. But yeah, the E100 Senti, he's getting crossfired by December as well, down to a 2-shot. It's going to be doubtful whether he will be able to put in another shot, even as Dark Ninja goes in to take the shot.
He takes the hit for keeping Chase alive. Very nice heads-up play.
Like also losing his loader here, and yeah, the tanks in favor of Babology, the HP in favor of Babology, and Invil, they seem to be unable to cope with the defense.
Piotrek is spontaneously combusted.
Ooh. Yeah, Sokar now also being set on fire, I guess. Yeah, RNG is fair to everyone. The second fire this time on the side of Invil, but yeah, Invil just not looking ready here. And the Super Kong that got caught out there in the open. I guess he didn't expect 2 tanks to be there because that's super unusual, but it cost him his life.
Yeah, this is like the strangest set of two matches that I feel like we should like we can put in like a university classroom. It's like the lineups were both times in favor of Inville, in my opinion. But the first time, Burbology just couldn't really find a way to crack it, and they were on attack. Now that they were on defense, they played a little proactively, and Inville just kind of went, "What are we doing? Let's send a Super Conqueror to the south because." Why?
Yeah, they didn't have info on the 113, I think.
Ready.
And then the Super Conk just melted in the fire of the CS and the 113. And we also see that reflected in the post-game stats. Rexa, 0 damage dealt. He was being walked into the cap, but still, hurts to see that. Hurts to see that. And the only one from Invil above 3k damage being Like here. And for the side of Burbology, we see some pretty good damage numbers for one of the VZs and also for the CS63.
Yeah, quietly Muscle's doing 4,500 damage from the outside. He was the one helping kill that Super Conqueror with the aid of Chase. And just, when I'm saying this is, I think that this game was similar to the proc attack by Burbology. They both just kind of, they ran their strat, they let their opponent make a mistake, and the second that mistake happened, they pounced hard and they had their second move really quickly, and they just won by default. So really well done by Burbology. They're moving on to match point.
Indeed, 4-2 now, and obviously, as you said, in a best of 9, this in turn means that Invil cannot slip up any longer if they still want to stay in the match and possibly win the game. I mean, the stakes, there is 1,400 euros for the winning team, 700 for the losing team. Not sure how exactly that translates to US dollars, but I guess both teams would be very happy to take double the amount.
Yes, and we have some Canadians as well. So we have Canadian dollars as well. We're gonna have to. We'll make a spreadsheet. We'll make a spreadsheet with the.
Now I have to admit, I am a very filthy European, so I don't know what the currency in Brazil is actually.
Let's see. Brazilian currency is, it says the real.
Real, I guess. Yeah. I thought
real,
it might have been
real,
peso or something, but yeah, real. And so yeah, I guess we're gonna set the prices in euro, and then they will receive whatever prize
standard
money in their respective currency. Anyway, we have watched 6 games now. That is the exact amount of games I expected to see in total, and we are still going. But yeah, we have a server switch now once again, so please give us a little time. We also will be preparing replays of the past 3 rounds to show to you and analyze how exactly Burbology was able to get to a match point. It wasn't this round, however. This was where where Invil, I mean, yeah, lucky RNG here with the fire, but I guess at this point in time it was already decided.
Yeah, it was. This was where Invil looked like they were trying to kind of reset. Right, they had just server switched, and they had a really good initial. They let Burbology just kind of play into their hands, and they just had a super crossfire with their super conquerors on the 7, and just made their shots count. This was where, oh no, Burbology were already down quite a bit in terms of positions and time, and Chase getting double tracked. Really well done by Sentient Piotrix, and then the Super Conquerors poking out on the side. Just really well done.
Yeah, also Rexa from the side that was also able to help out with keeping the IS-7 tracked. And from then on out, Burbology looked stunned. They didn't know how to respond anymore. And I mean, fair to them, Invil was defending, and they were doing it with, as you said, what most people would think a superior lineup. And now this was already after the Katsai incident on the K-line. Katsai went out basically for free. Rexa taking so much damage here. That is the second gun then gone for Invil, who are at this point in time also at a HP disadvantage. And take a look at Like and Pansfury. They're not able to contribute to the fight here. They're not able to share their HP. Sokar as well, full HP, backing off here. And the little chances that Invil had of maybe winning this round with a Lucky Fire or Amarek, just not able to be seized because, well, the Invil players are sort of cowering behind.
Yeah, if Like and Ketsa, I don't understand why they pushed the 2 E100s across. If Like and Ketsa were so far out and they're already down a gun at that point. I don't know if it's a thing where it's just people are yelling because why did you die in your Super Conqueror out in the field, but like that seems like you have to kind of clump up at a certain point. You're down a lot, but there's still a chance, right? But that 113 by comparison was the tank that was in the far south getting that shots, and then Chase was there for the brawl on the E100s to get the first kill there.
Alright, we have switched now to the North American server, and we're going to take a very quick look at the pick and ban. So we now saw Himmelsdorf, Proko and Ghost Town being played, and we're heading over to another Invil pick. It's Cliff this time, and if we go by how the first Invil pick went, this is going to not last us a lot longer.
Yeah, the one thing about Cliff is, again, NA had a 2-of rule, so some of the uniformity lineups of, say, bringing a bunch of CSs or a bunch of Batchats, things like that, aren't really as much of a thing on NA. I'm interested to see exactly, because it was always, you could only bring like 2-2-7-7, so you couldn't completely spearhead the middle or something. So we'll have to see here what the lineup changes were. I don't know how, but Cliff has always been a lot of rock, paper, scissors, first reactions. Are you going to the donut? Are you going to the middle? Are you splitting off, looking for your isolations? And at least on NA, we saw quite a bit of Kronwagen play. A lot of teams would bring a token Kronwagen for that mid-ramp. I don't know if that was the thing in EU or not.
It was the thing in EU, and I vividly actually remember a match that Invil played, not sure against whom, but basically Kronwagens were brought, and both times it got hard countered by Invil being able to go towards the middle with TVPs and CSs double-tracking the Kronwagens in the open, and they just died immediately. But as you said, it is just a game of rock, paper, scissors, really, with the lineups. You need to have sort of a general purpose lineup to be able to cover all the possibilities. But yeah, talking about positions also, Cliff is one of those maps where a lot is decided during the countdown even. You decide, are you going to split your team? Are you going middle, or are you going towards 1-2 line? And if you split, what is the split going to be like? Are you going to give away the hill for free? Do you try to take it? How much punishment are you going to take for going onto hill with your CSs? And then you have to pray and hope that your CSs don't catch fire because they're going to get shot in the backside.
See where your spawns are, who's comfortable doing what and what spawns. And then, yeah, like you said, during that countdown, because, hey, guys, I came up with a beautiful Cliff strat. Okay, they have 5 TVPs. Does that change anything? Because chances are it should. Please don't have someone die, because Cliff is the map that's notorious for inexperienced teams having someone just kind of die for free because they didn't take into account what the enemy team brought. And Burbology can typically be pretty flexible, and it looks like Invil is pretty flexible as well. So if someone catches someone out, though, that can just spell disaster, because an early kill on Cliff is really bad news.
Yeah, and I mean, in 15v15, losing a tank is not too bad. In 7v7 or 6v6, I guess in 6v6 it's even worse, but like in 7v7 also, losing a tank, as we just saw on Ghost Town even with the S-Kong, is just detrimental to the team. I would say if you get the first kill cleanly, your chances of winning the round go from 50-50 to, I would say, 85-90% even.
Yeah, and although I've talked a lot about the 6v6 this season, it's mostly because we just did things where we kind of spun the rules a little differently. But most of these players have Gold League experience. They've played 7-on-7 attack defense Cliff for years, so nothing too crazy or new is going to happen, other than, tank changes, and the map has changed over the course of the last few years as well.
I was going to say, yeah, the only things that changed were tanks being added and the map changes itself.
Yes.
Yeah, it is going to be attack defense, but mostly you see teams sort of disregarding the caps initially and trying to get the positions, because those are what's going to win you the game in the end. And the map video of Cliff already announces we are about to see what may be the last game of this match here, and it is, I think, going to be Invil attacking, if I see correctly already in the client. I have my little cheat screen here. But yeah, Invil coming in with a 2277 quadruple CS and 1 STB.
Wow, and this is the one thing I was afraid I was going to see. Burbology bringing double Kronwagen, 1 Batchat, 3 CS, and the patented 705A, which has been the both best and worst tank choice that they like bringing on Cliff. They're known for this. They do some crazy things with it. It's their signature. And there's a game that I remember from the middle of the season that 705A stayed alive in the middle where the Kronwagens normally play on the ramp going up, and actually did like 5,000 damage and won them the game. So if they can do that this time, it's great because 7058, it is going up top and the Kronwagens are going down low. It's an actually really weird split because that's not where you expect the tanks to be. 705A, when you see it, you assume it's just going to be on the 2-line anchoring on the defensive side.
Indeed, the double CS goes through the 1-2 line here, doesn't really get spotted. They will peek on the northern side of the donut, they will see the Batchat, and they will be able to punish the CSs going on the hill. That's immediately what you want to achieve. Instead, Muscles gets damaged heavily. However, this in turn means that the CSs from Birbology, they're able to take the hill almost for free, and now the CS is in a heap of trouble as the Kranwagens, they have come, and now it is time for that brutal Kranwagen clip and DPM to kick in. Actually, it seems like Dark Ninja,
they are counter-pushing the
guessing
donut.
himself.
Yeah, all those tanks are arriving, and Dark Ninja is running away. Octo needs to kind of get safe as well. They're realizing it's coming, and Dark Ninja actually runs into the rock because Senti and Panzer Fury started coming on over, and now looks like Birbology may overreact and try to pressure this mid, but they have to be careful because those 277s can simply turn around and put their guns towards the center, and Birbology down about 1,000 HP, taking quite a bit of punishment, but pretty much everyone on Invil is taking damage too.
Yeah, so far the damage spread pretty even. I mean, Birbology down about 700 HP, but that's basically just 2 shots. Now, November, he's in a very, very annoying position together with Chase. They're able to farm those people on the F-line, or rather keep them from peeking here. And the thing is, for Invil right now, if they commit onto the Kranwagens, it will be 1, very costly to pick them up, because they're both going to do their clips, and 2, this would in turn enable Birbology to overpush the middle here. And now the 705A peeking does get a big hit into Piotrix, but it seems to me like the Batchat may have fallen down here from his position.
Oh, and it looks like the CSs are poking up to try to get a double volley into December, and they will connect it. Vova will get 1 in return. And December reloads and gets a big shot, but they're going to try to pick December. 277 on the north, and the Kronwagens are counter-pushing into the middle while this is going on. We will have to see what comes up from the top of the lighthouse, because he's not going to have shots right now. A lot of low-health guns on both sides. This is petering really low, and Octo taking a bunch of damage and is really caught out here.
Octo down to a 2-shot here, and now it is Invil re-pushing towards the donut, but the Kranwagen on the other side providing the crossfire seems to be enough to chase them off. And meanwhile, in the middle, a brawl, a free-for-all has started, but November, ooh, that seems to be a lag for the Observer. But yeah, November looked like he was gonna go strong. December dropping down to a 1-shot here now. And it seems to me like Birbology sort of halted at the moment what they're doing. Meanwhile, though, on the 1-2 line, the Kranwagens, they should be reloaded now.
The HP is almost exactly even, and there's the first kill. Senti does go down to December, but otherwise, everyone is alive, but so many one-shots. This is so awkward and tense. Muscles has dropped off and is relocating back to D6, D5. He's going to try to get close to the middle, but there's so many one-shots. It's going to go either way still really, really fast. Invil, though, down to 3,600 total HP.
Ketzai now with a miss here on a December. He's going to retreat because the 705. I don't think it's in 1-shot HE range, to be honest.
That Kron in the south. Oh. He's going to look for shots on Piotrix.
Oh, good lord. Yeah, he does get the first shot in here. Piotrix immediately losing the Amarek, repairing it. But this means that Invil, in turn, is forced off the middle. And you can see Muscles here with the Batchat arriving to do the flank here, and he's going to find a very, very exposed CS63 that tries to get away. Rexa gets picked up. Ketzai now coming in with the CS, also taking a shot from, I think, the top of the hill, but Muscles going to be the MVP here to pick him up. And meanwhile, also in the middle, some tanks were falling, and also falling is Invil, falling apart and out of the match here as Birbology are looking to take the victory.
Yeah, Birbology are really close to closing this out, and the MVP, December, is still alive with 90 HP in his 705A. I mean, who'd have thought? This is the meta now. They saw this for months. The 705A on Cliff, it's a sleeper tank. And down goes Dark Ninja finally, but really well done by those Kronwagens down on the low ground. Panzer Fury is the final hope, and NA are gonna win this.
Indeed.
5-2.
Panzer Fury now coming in, but he does take 1 shot by the Kranwagen. Well played by October. I think he does bounce the second, so Panzer Fury picks up October, but from the back lines already, the shots from the Batchat. Muscles picking up his, I think, 3rd kill of the round, and also locking in the victory for North America. Birbology beating Invil 5-2. So I guess you predicted right the result, just not the team.
I thought that Verbology were going to have a little bit more difficulty simply because it was a different format than what they'd been playing slightly. So I was giving the edge to EU, but Verbology showed up playing so well in 5-2 in convincing fashion. Just really well done. And looking at the post-game stats, oh, these are the other post-game stats. Just that Cliff game was a nail biter throughout that middle. It just, teams were flexing both ways, trying to find an isolation, everyone taking a little bleed, and just the final moves go in Verbology favor. And yeah, they're the champions. They get that 1,400 euros, is it?
Yeah, and as we once again head back to the battle results, because I don't think we showed the stats of the winning team, actually, we see here both of the Kranwagens showing up big, both of them over 3k. So in between Dark Ninja and DROPBEARS, just GG's, well played.
Yeah, it looks like the graphic may be bugged. It's just showing the last ghost town.
Oh, yeah, 1 second. That might be... yeah, 1 second.
Gives us another excuse to show
there we go.
The beautiful scene.
It should be finally fixed now. So if we go back to it now, we will see the stats. We'll do that in a second, I guess. But yeah, here we go. Yeah, as I said, both of the Kranwagens showing up big, more than 3k damage a piece. And yeah, GG's to NA. Also, my congratulations to you for taking the victory in the NA versus EU 7v7 show match.
Well, it was a hard fought match, but I did my homework, and in the end, I was the better player, and I just made really good shots. Congratulations to Verbology. You guys played great and did NA proud. So
yeah, well played to both teams. But yeah, obviously here, Verbology with the, I would say, unexpected win. And also you said that Verbology was beating an RU team before this, so I guess NA right now, king of the 7v7 in the world.
Yes, maybe. Although that RU team, that was a Clan Wars thing, so it was a slightly different format. It was a 15 on 15, but there were a lot of the same players in both of them. But yeah, and yeah, there's nothing else, I guess, for me here.
I think we are going to hop over to the replays real quick to just recap this last round here. And it didn't start too well for Verbology in the sense that Muscles took a lot of damage, but in turn, Muscles, he's not going to take more damage. He's super safe, and this means that the CSs by Verbology, they go onto the hill immediately. Now here comes the repush from Verbology with the Kranwagens on the lower side. Then they correctly realize that the reinforcements from Invil are coming, and I think they're missing an opportunity here to pounce on the Kranwagens, because yes, Verbology could overpush the middle, but they would do it at a very, very costly price. And now the Kranwagen in the south, he's just going to seal the deal, right? He's going to force off Piotrix from the middle, and at this point in time, Invil, they're running for the hills, they're scared, and they can't even really go around the hill because there's Muscles with his bat shot. Just well played by him.
Yeah, Rexar getting caught out. It just looked like Invil were caught flat-footed again, and Verbology were just a couple steps ahead. That Kranwagen moving the south, I think that was Dark Ninja, just a really heads-up play if it was him. Otherwise, it was, I forgot who it was. It was Chase in the other one. No, Chase was in the CS. And Muscle's doing well in his bat chat as well to kind of have those heads-up plays. He's been the kind of the flank player on this team. Most of the time, he's that bat chat on the weak side. He's that CS kind of playing the weak side. So being able to make those little improvised movements on the 9 line, very well done by him.
All right, so this wraps up our show match. It was a pleasure to cast with you, and I'll leave the last words to you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. I had a great time, and congratulations to Verbology again. I will plug my stream tonight for anyone that is North America. For EU, it may be a little late for you guys. It'll be about 3 o'clock in the morning tonight, but 9 p.m. Eastern time, so that's like New York time. I will be streaming the Clan Wars season semifinals tonight at 9, and tomorrow night at 9 as well. So if your NA drops should be enabled there. So I'll see you guys later tonight at twitch.tv/germ_NA.
All right, see you guys.
And that does it for me.